Good.
Welcome, everyone. I am pleased to welcome you to the ICTF Imagia webinar, Digital Assistance, the New Normal to Boost Order-to-Cash Operation Efficiency. We are honored to have Imagia as one of ICTF's annual sponsors and want to thank them for their continued support. I would also like to welcome our speakers today, Veena Gundavelli, CEO and founder of Imagia, and Dexter Peavy, Director of Order-to-Cash Transformation with Imagia. Today's webinar will last 60 minutes, and we will have a question and answer period at the end. But please do not hesitate to put your questions throughout the presentation. You can just use the text chat box here on Zoom, and we'll get to them at the end. With that, Veena, Dexter, let's get started.
Thank you, Beth.
Thank you, Beth. Good morning, everyone, and good afternoon to those of you out in Europe. Thank you for joining us today, here at the ICTF Imagia webinar on digital assistance, the new normal to boost O2C efficiency. Okay. Very good. So, quick introduction. I'm Veena Gundavelli, founder and CEO of Imagia. I have about over 20 years of experience in order-to-cash technology, innovating and delivering technology for corporations like yourselves, and has enjoyed the innovations in terms of bringing in new digital technologies, whether it is cloud, or whether it is artificial intelligence and other technologies. I am a contributor to the Forbes Technology Council on AI for Finance, and also specifically on this, the digital assistance received innovation awards towards that. So I'm delighted to share with you some of the things that I have observed over the last few years on the advances of digital assistance. Over to you, Dexter.
Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Dexter Peavy. I'm the Director of Order-to-Cash Transformation for Imagia. I've spent over the last 25 years in order-to-cash. One thing I love about the order-to-cash cycle is we produce tangible benefits for our customers. And today you're going to see how digital assistance can aid in that process, not only from the best practices point of view, but also from shifting your energies across all accounts to just those accounts that need the human intervention. So look forward to sharing with you all today. And Veena, take it away.
Excellent. A quick introduction about Imagia before we dive into the webinar today. Imagia, we deliver integrated end-to-end digital order-to-cash cloud. We provide modules all the way from order management to credit, collections, invoicing, deductions and disputes management, payments, as well as cash application management. This is an end-to-end solution for managing high volume order to cash. We have been recognized as the leader in the order to cash space by several industry analysts, and our application has been rolled out in many companies around the world and have processed accounts receivable in several billions of dollars. Our claim to fame is bringing the combination of automation, analytics, and AI into the order to cash process. And in this, we focus primarily on how do you bring out efficiencies by eliminating repetitive activities, as well as bringing in intelligence to serve your customers better and bring in cash flows at a lot faster pace. Again, some of the things that we aim for, with this AI automation and analytics is bringing in this new levels of performance across the entire order to cash process. And we'll talk about this in a little more as we move along in the webinar today. So with that, let's dive right into the webinar. Today, we're going to talk about digital assistants. The first topic we will talk about is a little primer, 5 things, you should know about digital assistants. And then we'll dive right into digital assistants for order to cash, and specifically how you use them in credit collections and cash application space. And then, we'll dive into what does this mean in terms of efficiency, in terms of, your overall, business metrics, what does it mean for you? So with that, let's get right into the things that you should know about digital assistants. First and foremost, we have all seen over the last, 12 to 15 months, life has changed all around us. And especially, at the workplace, we have seen, tremendous changes in terms of, working remotely and a push for digitization. COVID-19 has absolutely accelerated digital transformation. Any and every company is moving forward with digitization. And for those of us, again, this is a big wake up call to kind of see how, we are going to embrace this change. And, even as companies open up and we get back into offices, we are going to experience, tremendous changes. So in that aspect, as we have interviewed, a number of, credit and order to cash, staff and executives, we have, received enormous responses that, things are changing and changing very drastically. So I think it's time for us to kind of understand, what's digitization bringing. And a big portion of digitization is bringing in AI. And, and we'll see today, how AI is bringing in these changes, right? So with this, let's get to, this portion of AI, AI powered digital assistants. What do they mean? First and foremost, a little bit of, a background on digital assistants. And this is a more, I'm just gonna move, okay. So, a small primer on digital assistants, okay? So first and foremost, history of digital assistants or chatbots. The first chatbot, was invented, believe it or not, long time back, 1966. And the first chatbot was called Eliza. And Eliza was invented at the MIT AI labs by Joseph Weizenbaum. And, and the screen is, as you can see right here, this was on the, on the mainframe terminal. And this is a text-based, a chatbot. And as you can see the conversation over here, you can chat with the, using text, and Eliza responded back with text. And the primary use case at that time that they deployed this chatbot, was towards psychotherapy. And the objective was to be able to understand the conversation that the user was making, and to be able to, make a relevant conversation back with the user. And so, so that was the first test of artificial intelligence. And there's a test called Turing test, where they put this to, is this really, intelligent or not? And that's how, this the chatbot's history got started. And interestingly, over the last, several years, and especially, in the, starting out from, early 2000s, we have seen with IBM Watson, Watson becoming very intelligent, and, even coming in, Jeopardy, Jeopardy show answering questions, right? And soon, that, in 2010, with the Apple Siri introduction, chatbots and digital assistants coming right into the palms of all of us. And there was a big revolution, starting out, from chatbot, which a text-based chatbot, to over to voice assistants, blending, text and voice together. And over a period of time, especially over the last decade, we have seen, a huge advancement in digital assistants, with Alexa, coming into our homes, with the Cortana on Microsoft systems, Windows systems, with Siri on the, on the iOS, and then again, getting into, several different, specialized versions, of digital assistants with specific purposes. As such, here at Imagia in 2018, we introduced our first version of digital assistant, very specifically focused for order to cash, and named Gia, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But today we are seeing a number of different types of digital assistants, focused around around finance. There's a little bit on the history of the chatbots. And before we dive into a whole lot of trends and other things, especially the audience here with ICTF, all of us coming in from credit background and from finance background and trade finance background, etc. I wanted to, at least bring out a few terms that will pop up, when you're doing evaluations or when you're trying to understand the digital assistants. So it's helpful to kind of understand what are these technical terms and what does that mean for you when you're, dealing with digital assistants. First and foremost, there are, digital assistants. The primary technology is artificial intelligence, and within artificial intelligence, there are, number of different, sub terms or sub functions or sub, different areas that actually contribute towards, creating this, human-like conversations. First and foremost, the new generation of conversational, AI brings in both a combination of voice and chat, and and soon I will be sharing with you how it also brings out vision. But for the time being, let me just focus on voice and chat. So the ability to understand voice and chat, that comes out, from a specific, term called natural language understanding, natural language processing. Natural language understanding means that the AI in the chatbot is able to understand the language that you're speaking. And again, we have many languages around the world, and the ability for the chatbot to be able to understand, whether it is English, in Spanish, French, able to understand, common language, and then process it to be able to give a response back. Those, that type of functionality is called natural language understanding and natural language processing. That is one of the core, element of the digital assistants. And today, when you're evaluating digital assistants, especially for your global deployment, it's important for you to understand, how is, the digital assistant able to process different languages, and what are the type of responses, for those digital assistants. There's a whole structure, called, again, intent and responses. Intent means to be able to understand, again, what is the actual question or the core topic, that the user is asking. For example, if I ask what is the weather today, or if I ask, is it sunny today? The question can come in different ways, but the intent is asking, what is the weather like? And to be able to understand that intent and respond back saying, yes, it is, sunny today, and it's about 78 degrees, in San Jose, where I am right now, right? So, so ability to understand, ability to respond back in a natural language that is meaningful, to your end user, is all done by NLP, NLU, and NLP. The next is machine learning and deep learning. These are two terms that you will repeatedly see out there. It's also, you see terms like supervised learning, unsupervised learning. Let me explain a little bit. Machine learning. Machine learning is ability to take the data, from the history and to be able to, create new data, new predictions, or new information for the future. A simple example of that is, what you're having, on, let's say, for example, on your mobile phone, you're typing in a message, or even on the, in your email, when you're typing in a message and it auto corrects the spellings, that is machine learning, meaning it has taken a whole lot of information, the correct information, and now correcting any sort of errors, right for you. And that's machine learning, right? So a big portion of how the chatbot responds back to you, able to understand your questions, is all done by machine learning. Deep learning. Deep learning is an element, again, in artificial intelligence, to be able to understand if the conversations, are going in different directions, how can it still respond back in a proper order. So with that, there are rule-based chatbots, meaning, simple, answering yes or no, or, questions back and forth. Or there is generalized, conversations, which is deep learning, especially when you're having in a customer call center kind of environment where the conversations are very fluid. You would want, advanced level of, artificial intelligence based chatbot that can navigate, the responses. And again, I'll not get into too much of that right now. But a quick thing to understand is this a rule-based chatbot, or is this a chatbot that can understand, learn, and then respond, right? The next is information processing. Is this able to, especially in the enterprise side, if you're deploying this in your order to cash environment, is this able to talk to my SAP system? Is this able to exchange information from my Oracle system? Is this able to exchange information from my core, collection system? Ability to, take the information back and forth and put that into the conversations is a key element. A big next step that the digital assistants are taking are also towards vision, to be able to process a document. If you give a document to the digital assistant, can it process it or not, right? So, we will get into that a little more as we move along. But these are some common terms, that you see out there, especially when you get into the evaluation. And I wanted to just at least give a quick introduction. Happy to, give you all more information, if you are interested in, getting into more of the understanding, what goes on behind. So with that, let's get into, is this, hype, or is this reality, right? So 2 years back, obviously, we were at the, still at the beginning of the, what we call as, a peak of, inflated expectations. Let me walk you through this particular graph out here. This is a graph, typically, put out by Gartner in terms of how a technology advances. And if you look at the initial, initial curve right here, this was in the early adopter stage. This is where the innovations in artificial intelligence just, began to bubble up and, started, reaching out to the companies. early adopter companies, or people who wanted to tinker with new technologies, want to be on the edge of innovation. Those are some companies that took the AI based chatbots deployed in their enterprises, right? And then from there, some of them experimented, some of them expected more, and then slowly now it's becoming mainstream. So if you look at where it is reaching right now, it is reaching a plateau of productivity, meaning this is becoming mainstream. This is actually a mainstream technology where many of the companies are actually putting it out there. And this is no longer a hype, no longer a story, no longer a news item. This is in fact converting into projects, tangible projects within enterprises. And that time is right now. And I think it's important for all of us to understand that this is the reality, this is the new normal, and we got to understand this. We got to figure out how do we take it forward. And you're already seeing, for example, with the many companies, like Bank of America, deploying Erica as a voice assistant, right on their portals on the banking systems, where customers are able to interact with Erica, ask questions about the bank, whether it is a statements or account information, transactions, any sort of a conversations that that they can have at a first level in the bank. Erica is able to do that. And like that, we are seeing many companies deploy digital assistants in the front end. So it is not only now a technology that is proven. Now many CFOs, many CIOs are looking at bringing this right into their enterprise as one of the key technology element that they will be adding in 2021 and beyond. So the time is today. It's not a hype, it is a reality. A quick survey on digital assistants, how companies are using them. And in fact, according to this, 136% growth rate of AI-based chatbot is already projected about a year back, or in 2019. And this rate is absolutely accelerating. And as I said, this is a reality, and CIOs, CFOs are actively putting these projects on the corporate agenda. Chatbots, which industries or which functions are actively using them? Again, to the right, we have different type of industries that are actively using them, or actively projected to actively use them. And this is where top of the line, the media communications, technology industry, again, deploying chatbots for IT services and all of that. Financial services, specifically around, both the banking sector, the insurance sector, as well as enterprise finance, where credit collections, accounts receivable, accounts payable, treasury side, everywhere, the enterprise chatbots or enterprise digital assistants are actively being deployed. Likewise, I think there are several other industries. You will see retail, manufacturing, consumer goods, healthcare, travel and hospitality. All of these different industries are looking at deploying chatbots. So depending on which industry that you are in, this is something that is a very active project in most companies, your peer group companies, and most likely in your company. So let's look at how are companies using digital assistants, or how are companies going to use digital assistants if they are deploying it currently. The first primary use of a digital assistant is deployed as a customer facing agent, primarily as a customer service agent, engaging customers 24/7. Specifically, when you want a question to be answered, or if you want to find a status on a credit application, or you want to get a status on a particular claim or a deduction that the customer is asking, rather than having to call up somebody or go to some series of emails. People want to be able to reach to at least to a digital assistant who's able to give some information right there, then and there. Now we'll talk about how this is more helpful than simply putting a portal out there, right? With portals, the customers have to navigate to several different places to find information. With the digital assistants, it's very simple for customers to be able to ask the question and get an answer, right? So again, we see top benefits: 24/7 service. It's always there. Customer will always get an instant response. If there are simple questions, the digital assistant can answer those simple questions. And if it cannot answer, it can at least escalate to the right folks, right? So all in all, most simple questions can be answered by the digital assistant. So this is there out there 24/7. The second, big use of digital assistance is assisting the workforce. Today we are already seeing, with the email and calendaring, you can ask, Siri to, draft an email. You can ask Siri to, put an appointment in a calendar. So likewise, enterprise digital assistants, can be used to save time and, time and energy. On the right, on this particular, picture, I've given a simple, a simple use case as how, a chatbot can save time. If you look at this, 6 actions, to one request, right? How a chatbot can save time. The first one is, if I'm on a call with a customer and, I need an invoice image, or I need to write up a letter, I want to access an old letter, I have to log into, a system. I have to, go to a particular file. I have to open that particular file. I have to email that file over to the customer, all of that pieces of information, right? So, and as a, as a collector or as a credit rep, I have to, really, do these 6 or 7 different steps to be able to access that one piece of information. Whereas if I have a digital assistant, I can simply ask, hey, Gia, bring that invoice of, customer, so-and-so customer, right? Or bring this invoice, and it can see which conversation that I'm making, it's relevant to a customer, and it can bring out. So all of these 6, 7 steps can be broken down with a single voice command, and you can get the information. So assisting the workforce, is one of the key area where digital assistants can help in a big way. And we're going to walk through some use cases today, especially on credit collections and cash app, on how digital assistants can, save time and, effort for the staff. The third one is, performing repetitive activities. A lot of times, in credit and collections, we see a lot of repeat activities, that are happening. I get a credit application, I have to, go to, California state, website to be able to check, the business, license verification, for example. That's a repetitive step. And instead of me doing that over and over again for 100 credit applications, if I can simply ask, hey, Gia, verify this business license for me, Gia should be able to simply go log into that particular site, bring that information and, tell me, instantly saying, yes, this is verified. And here is, what the status looks like, right? So simple repetitive activities, or, go to so-and-so, customer portal, download this piece of information for me. Gia or the digital assistant should be able to do that. So again, top 3 use cases. One is customer facing role, talking to the customers, or even operations facing role. Sometimes sales and customer service may have questions. So customers and operations facing roles is where it's deployed. That's number 1 use case. Number 2 use case is assisting the staff, the credit collection staff. Number 3 is performing simple repetitive activities. And we're going to, go through each one of these as we move along. So now let's look at, now that we understand 5 things that right? You've known about the history, you've known about, some technical terms. You also know what are the top use cases. You also know, that, these are the projects, that are due. And the type of deployments that you can see in use cases. So now let's look at very specifically on credit collections cash app. So first and foremost, what do digital assistants what do they mean for productivity? So according to the Hackett Group, world-class digital transformation can bring in tremendous advantage in terms of cost advantage, efficiency and effectiveness. And if you look at the graph to the right, you're getting world-class deployment. You're getting an advantage of almost like a 60% efficiency gains, 60% reduction in the cost savings, and all of those good aspects. And digital assistants go right into that site where they can enable this type of an advantage. It can improve customer experience, can help scale up your operations. As your front office business models are changing towards digital customers and e-commerce, your back office can be supported by digital assistants. So this is very helpful in supporting the business models. And finally, this is very helpful for you to run better and faster with your order to cash operations. Now, the digital assistant that I'm most familiar with is Gia. This is our digital assistant from Imagia, and we have introduced this to the world in 2018. And since then, we have made several advancements and currently in use with our customers. So as I'm talking and giving examples of digital assistants, I will be giving, in this particular context as to, what, some of these digital assistants are able to do. So with that, let me first dive into, what are all the different, ways that digital assistants, can help your order to cash process. The first, as we talked about as the top use case, customer facing use case. So this is where if you do have, a customer EIPP portal where you are, sharing the invoices and, payments information with your customers, that is the best place, or the first place you can add a digital assistant to be able to interact with your customers and be there for them 24/7 to answer their questions. So you can have a portal, that is, that may be simple or that may be complex, but giving a digital assistance where your customer is able to, simply use chat or voice and get the information is very, very useful for your customers. It will help them to, stop going through, the complexity of the user interface on the portal. So this is the first and foremost, that's the first place you can, put your digital assistant. The second is, we talked about as the, augmentation or an assistant, for the workforce. So if you look at, the conversation to the right, it's it's a conversation, between, order to cash, staff or a manager with the digital assistant. You can ask questions, like, what was the total cash received, as of this morning, or what's the total AR outstanding, or simple information such as, hey, did we receive, a payment from so and so customer yesterday, right? So ability to, take those questions very quickly, go back, to your order to cash system or your ERP system, and bring that information back to you, is what, these digital assistants are capable of doing. And so what happens with that is it enables faster decision making. You are quickly able to figure out, should I call up this customer right now? Should I not call up this customer right now? Or, should I, escalate this to so-and-so internally? Whatever the information or the decision that, you can take in that process, you will be able to do that, with these information. Secondly, the time and cost of gathering this information, as we have already seen, instead of taking 6 steps to access a file and share a file, just with a voice command, you will be able to do that. Just imagine the power of saving time and cost on this information gathering. So today, assistants like Gia is able to, bring in all the information related, any type of documents related to, a particular account, for example, any kind of history, of conversations that happens, with the customer, for example. You can simply ask and get that information, and do not have to worry about, navigating, your ERP system or navigating your, credit and collections system. You simply ask and get the information. The, third element, of course, 24/7 information access. Today, not many companies are deploying these enterprise digital assistants on the, on the phone. But with a secured access, you can also receive this information, as in mobile apps, and to be able to, very quickly access information. A quick use case for this is, for example, with the sales and customer service reps, you can use an inquiry type of an app, where you can simply give information, about the account, latest status about a particular customer, what is the payment that was received by the customer, what is the, any particular disputes or claims by that particular customer. All of that can be, enabled to your sales folks, through a simple, mobile access, right? So this is a quick way of deploying this internally for your workforce. Next, how do you embed them into processes? And let's talk about some of these processes. For example, with collections. Today, in most companies, collection letters or even statements or invoice letters and collection letters, go out as a simple PDF documents out to your customers. What happens with that is, yes, you have done your job of, sending the letters, but at the same time, if there is a problem with a particular invoice, or if there is a issue, in terms of, again, a dispute, or if they want to do, payments then and there, All of that, is today not available, and the customer has to again either send an email back or leave a voice message back, and you have to be in the business of looking at the responses and connecting back with how do you handle whether it is a dispute or whether it is a payment problem, etc. So one of the quick way and one of the big way that Imagia has done some innovations here is putting a digital assistant right in your letter. And in your letter, the digital assistant goes out to your customer, where your customer is able to very quickly ask a few questions if they have issues, or have you received the last payment check, or have you received or I have a problem with this invoice. And the digital assistant to be able to very quickly take what type of problem do you have with this particular invoice. Or if they say, I want to do, I'm ready to do the payments, to be able to take the credit card information, or to be able to take the bank-to-bank transfer information right there and process it. All of that is embedded right there into the letters. And more, you will be seeing digital assistants, being part of your letter communications out to your customers. Digital assistants also can be coupled with payment processing. That's a quick and easy way of embedding your payments right within the conversations. Asking the customer, are you ready to pay now? And if so, to be able to quickly bring that credit card interface or bank-to-bank interface and process that payments then and there, give the confirmation then and there, and send it out. Right. So that's a big use case of putting digital assistants for digital payments. 80-20 rule in collections. Okay, so today, in many companies out there, and especially as you're growing your customer base, automation is the way that many companies are looking at dealing with the scalability. So majority of the cases, especially the Class C customers, where you have low dollar value on your invoices, this can be sent out with the automated letter, and the digital assistant embedded in that letter, send it out to your customers. So you have 100% reach, and your digital assistant can repeatedly reach out in a very friendly manner to be able to get the digital payment from your customer. And you can focus your energy on high value customers, as well as customers that need some level of attention, escalations, for example, or problems that they have with the invoices. So 80-20 rule, 80% of the customers that do not need your personalized personalized reach out, you can send your digital assistant along with your letter, and do the reach out accordingly. So this is where, again, collections can be optimized in a big way, and we can take this in an efficient manner as we move along. So what type of things can these digital assistants do? One is they can send a payment request. So in an automated manner, they can reach out and get the request to pay. Record promise to pay and disputes. Again, they can have conversations, simple conversations as to what is the problem, record that, or do you want to schedule a payment, when can you do that, etc. Or they can process the payments. Simple 2-3 tasks can be sent out as part of the conversation. Again, if the customer wants to talk to the agent, or wants to talk to the credit rep, There's always an option, and always the escalations, go back, to the, to the staff. Now, let's look at, a couple of, advancements. Now, going to the cash application side. Digital assistants are helping cash application or also in a very big way. Digital assistants can today read and extract information from documents. For example, a digital assistant can read your email and very quickly, give you a prioritized list as to, here are the emails that received remittance advices, and here are the documents, and it can extract information from the documents. So, all of that are made available by the, digital assistants that can read as well as, chat. Simple example over here is about Gia Docs, which is, the skill or the capability of Gia to be able to read, an email, take a payment remittance document, and very quickly prepare that file for you on the right, which says, hey, here are all the important information, out of that payment advice. It can simply bring that information and present to you, here is the customer name, here is the customer address, and, payment dates, payment amounts. Here is the, line level items. All of that is prepared by the digital assistant. And this is very, very powerful, because today in most companies, people spend a lot of time, going through their email, bringing up a particular document, copy pasting that piece of information, into Excel spreadsheets. And if you have a digital assistant that is able to simply take up the document and prepare that data for you, you will save a lot of time and a lot of energy, right? So this is a very, very powerful way of using digital assistants in the cash application process. Obviously, the benefits of all of this is improved efficiency. And you can apply this, in a number of different ways. Today, we've talked about collections. We've talked about cash applications. On the credit side also, you can use digital credit assistance in a big way. For example, at Imagia, we use digital credit assistants to go to different, business license verification sites and gather that information. So simply by a voice command, you can ask Gia to go verify a business license, or check the address of, so-and-so customer, or, go check the OFAC database, to see if, this customer is, okay to deal with, or gather a, a DNB report or a Experian report, bring that up, or simply ask in a conversation, do I see a bankruptcy alerts on this? So just like how you're able to do a conversation with a Siri or, with a Alexa, asking simple questions and getting the information back, we have tailored Gia as the digital assistant for the, accounts receivable, credit collections staff to be able to ask the information and simply, get that information in a very fast order. So with that, I will hand this over to Dexter, who will walk you through, once you put these digital assistants in the system, what does this mean, from an efficiency perspective? Again, how, these digital assistants can coexist with the other business process automation in the system, as well as, analytics in the system. So with that, over to you, Dexter.
Okay, thank you, Veena. So digital assistants are wonderful. I came up the old school way where we had best practices. that we were implementing, but today we obviously have a lot of tools at our disposal, and digital assistants being the forefront. Next slide, Vina. So in our system, as well as what anyone should be looking for, is a well integrated system going across your entire order to cash process. And Gia, for instance, as Vina has shown you today, works across the entire order to cash spectrum. Some of the highlights she mentioned, well, there we go, that's fine. And given the time, I think, thank you, Vina, for pushing me ahead. Whether it be checking the order and releasing an order based on the credit worthiness of a customer or their credit limit, the functionality involved in the credit decisioning process, scoring your customers. Our goal really is to help our customers automate as much of the process as possible so that we can free up staff to handle where human intervention is needed. So we work with our customers to find out those tolerance levels. And in credit, we might have decisions that are easily approved and decisions that are easily rejected, for allowing the credit analyst and the credit manager, et cetera, to focus on those that will need that human review and human decision making. Again, whether it's invoices, collections, deductions, Cash App, I think we've discussed a lot of those. One of Gia's best qualities is really in that collection space. Vina alluded to the 80-20 rule, and that truly exists, whether it's 80-20 or 90-10. But reality is, Gia works with your small customers. If a collector has 1,000 accounts or 2,000 accounts, that collector can only get to a handful of them on the course of a day, whether, in a manufacturing situation, let's say. So we want to free up their time to really work those accounts that need extra help. And truly, the 80-20 rule does apply. Vina mentioned the C accounts. You make that decision whether it's the C accounts and the B accounts, but you can set up Gia to handle that division for you. Deductions, a huge issue, of course, with our consumer products companies. The 80-20 rule again applies there, but gathering the data to understand from the system to alleviate the issues downstream, to resolve disputes automatically. If it's a $5 pricing dispute, we'll know through the data collection that we're going to automatically, on a short shipment, and it's less than $5, we're going to issue the credit and move on. We're not going to spend $50 to resolve a $5 problem. So throughout the entire order to cash cycle, utilize digital assistance to your advantage. Next slide, Vina. Credit, as Vina's alluded to, has wonderful applications for the digital assistant. In fact, all the way through the upfront credit process, whether it's issuing the application, making the scoring decision, releasing orders, and also utilizing predictive capabilities. The other side of this fence is, credit might be viewed as the negative from a sales point of view, but we want to turn credit around into a positive, allowing your salespeople to actually give more spend allowance to their customers. So credit works both ways. The bottom line, make these decisions fast, communicate with your sales staff fast, let them know that there's an open to buy for another $1 million maybe, but also roll it up across all of your business units. You might have 4 business units in the United States. All 4 might be selling to the same customer. Well, everyone knows about their individual ones, but at the corporate level, you want to know about all 4 and what do they roll up and what's the risk. Next slide, Vina. Collections, we alluded to, obviously, in the digital world, we have shifted to digital, and we're sending invoices digitally. We are predicting the payment behavior of our customers so that we can focus and shift. A customer we all know in the collection department maybe pays in 40 days like clockwork. Well, that's wonderful, except they should be paying in 30 days. Well, we can highlight that customer as they always pay in 40 days and bring them down to 38, then 35, then 34, etc. So predictive payment of your customers allows your collection staff or GIA or the digital person to force that customer up to the top of the list and also interact with them digitally as well. So you're always trying to utilize the modern tools we have, the predictive analytics that we have, to help your staff concentrate on where it's needed most to give you the greatest tangible benefit. And in some cases, of course, that's changing customer behavior, but it starts from within, from the knowledge that you gain through the digital assistants, the predictive analytics, et cetera. Again, self-service works great, not for your smallest customers, having portals where they can interact, pull up invoices, pull up statements, issue a dispute, or pay or make a promise to pay. So all self-service, all digital, all freeing up time for your staff, and equally important, all of this information goes back to your collection history, so you're not losing any of it. Cash application, absolutely fantastic. It's a learning process that improves your hit rate from wherever you are today. You know, you obviously want to go from, if you're at 60, you want to go to 70 to 80 to 90. And we have customers over 95%, but the ability to read and extract and learn makes your cash application process infinitely more efficient and more accurate. And of course, not everything is perfect in our world. If our customers were perfect, we wouldn't have these problems. But our customers, sometimes we need help, and we can read structured and unstructured data, whether it be in the body of the email or in an attachment to an email, as well as sometimes detangling all the information in an ACH or a wire payment. Next, Rena. So, summing some of this up, we really want to shift, move from working to analyzing to managing. You will have, our goal is to reduce DSO, improve the AR. Ultimately, all of this is rolling up into improved working capital, reducing risk, increasing shareholder value. Obviously, the CFO, et cetera, and the CEO want to improve the shareholder value. And it's quite obvious when your cash flow improves, you can invest that into other areas with more, you can invest it in technology, artificial intelligence, for instance. But the bottom line really is improving the cash flow, improving customer service, make it easy for your customers to do business with you. That will benefit you all around, and you're going to get tremendous efficiency, as it says here, exponential impact, but you will get tremendous gains, whether it's just in applying a digital assistant in credit or throughout the entire order to cash cycle. Next, Rena. So we have several customers that utilize GIA around the world. This happens to be a large technology company. I think they are truly in 40 or 50 locations around the world. Their main concern was to improve their cash flow via process automation. And what we worked with them, we utilized digital processes in GIA and GIA docs across most of their order to cash cycle, but credit, collections, deductions, cash app, and analytics, very key. The ability to see the pulse of your organization, whether it be drilling down to the individual business unit or to the individual customer, or rolling all the way up at the corporate level. And when you have 46 business units, as some of us on the line here know, there's a lot of Excel, there's a lot of reconciliations, there's a lot of changes. There's a ton of paperwork at the end of the month and 2 tons of paperwork at the end of every quarter. So utilizing the combination of digital and analytics allowed this customer really to improve all the way across the entire order to cash cycle. Still, also equally important, everything is tracked in the digital world. So the audit and controls were always there, so that there was not games weren't played, simply put. Customers utilize this, Gia and GeoDocs internally. I mean, the product was used by customers externally, but also internally by the finance department. Again, finally, near and dear to my heart is reducing disputes, and the data that comes from this enables you to drill down to the root cause, and then put in a lean or Six Sigma or Kaizen approach to that functional area where these disputes or where the issues are occurring. So you always have the data. You need the data to do this, and this way you do have the data to narrow down where these issues are occurring. And quite often, again, the 80-20 rule, Pareto principle, you find that the root causes of most of your problems associated with payment or slow payment or delayed payment are truly very easy to fix situations. So this particular client had tremendous satisfaction and results. And Vina, is that it for?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Dexter.
Okay.
Thank you, Dexter. So as we hit the top of the hour,
Yep.
thank you. I just want to give, again, I think a few minutes for everyone to ask their questions. Over to you, Beth.
All right. Right now it's time to ask your questions. Just use the chat box at the bottom of your screen. We did have a question. Let me pull it up. Are digital assistants better at repetitive tests than RPAs?
Very good question. RPA is again bots that do specific items, and digital assistants, can utilize RPA. For example, just going and doing a business license verification is one RPA bot that you can deploy. Or if you want to do 50 different, 50 different states license verification, 50 different bots. So having to use different bots, or simply you can ask a digital assistant, do this for me, and it can figure out, how it can leverage any of these bots and utilize information. So digital assistant is like a Siri, like a Google. It's a general purpose, voice chat, whereas an RPA bot does one specific activity. Next question.
Okay, again, if you have a question, just put them in the chat box, or you can just unmute yourself and ask that way.
Absolutely. And also I would definitely like to mention that we have a Imagia masterclass, happening every 2 weeks, run by John Salick, our dear friend with, over 25 years of experience in order to cash. And he covers each of these topics in a lot more detail. So feel free to join us in our masterclass, that happens every 2 weeks.
All right, it looks like we do not have any more questions. Thank you, Vina. Thank you, Dexter. That was very interesting. And thank you everyone who joined the call. Please visit ICTF's website for all of our upcoming programs. Next week, we have a boot camp, a 3-hour boot camp on advanced Excel for credit professionals. And then the next week after that, we have a boot camp on Power BI. So it should be some very interesting information, especially if you think you're a whiz at advanced Excel. You'll learn something during this boot camp. Now, thank you, everyone. Everyone stay safe and healthy, and we'll see you next time. Thank you, everyone.
Have a good night.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you.